discovered this other world, an alternate universe, where my self-doubts, my fear of rejection, my fear of intimacy, my fear of being seen, my fear of being too much, my fear of vulnerability, my fear of surrender, where all of these fears in this other world, they all began to lose their power over me. And it all began with that first tango embrace. A couple years ago, while I was dealing with the most painful breakup of my life, I found myself closed. I was guarding my heart. I was unavailable. And for the first time ever, I found myself saying, I am never doing that again. And I meant it in my mind. But the truth is, I still longed for intimacy. It's a powerful human desire. And then I find myself in a tango class, and another tango class, and another tango class. Tango was taking me on a tour of my inner landscape. And all the while I thought I was there to have a good time, to learn a new dance, and yes, maybe to meet somebody, to get close to somebody. But the practices and the rituals that are used while learning tango, they brought me right to the doorway of all those fears. The subtle brilliance of tango, it led me down a path of transformation that I never saw coming. Because it masterfully mirrored so many of the issues that I was struggling with in my life. And it did it all with no effort at all. It was such a loving and inviting place that I had no choice but to surrender to the journey. So what does this other world look like? Even though I had danced my whole life, this was brand new to me. Because right away I noticed that there were specific rules of engagement in tango. We even have special shoes. And I found that when I put them on, it was like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz in her ruby slippers. Because every time I put them on, I felt like I was going home. Now, it's kind of complicated, but to get into the actual embrace, there's the invitation to dance, and it's called cabeceo. And it all begins with something that we don't do so much anymore, and that's eye contact, sustained eye contact. And in tango, we say leaders and followers versus men and women. And they're interchangeable, but generally the leaders are men and the followers are women. So what happens is the leader makes sustained eye contact with someone he wants to dance with. And he will subtly nod an invitation to her. Now, if she wants to dance with him, she uses that same sustained eye contact, and she'll nod back. Or she looks away. It's a no. Now, what really just happened? That man had to put himself out there. He had to actually risk rejection. He had to be vulnerable enough to show himself through his eyes and make eye contact with me long enough for me to know that he was seeking me. Then I had to do the same. I have to show up. I have to be present and available. I have to look up, and I have to present myself through my eyes, the windows to my soul, for the length of time, long enough to hold his gaze so that we know that we've seen each other. In that moment of the invitation in cabeceo, it's about revealing yourself naked through your eyes to another. I see you, you see me. Discernment. Is it going to be a yes or a no? Now for me, wow, what a lesson that was, discernment. Because again, the teacher was hiding as tango class or that next dance partner or as a milonga. Milongas are where we go to dance socially. It's not a teaching environment. But how many times in my life had I said yes when it should have been no? And how many times did I actually know it was a no and I said yes anyway, for whatever reason, to be nice or to not hurt someone's feelings? And not just in relationships, but in life in general. And how many times had I settled instead of being discerning? How often had I devalued my own worth in that choice? Now when I started tango, I would say yes to everyone. I just wanted to dance. But tango is sneaky in a really beautiful kind of way. Because the more my dance improved, the more aware I became that not everyone was a good fit for me. I didn't enjoy dancing with everyone. Or in tango language, sometimes they're not at your level, but not in an egoic way. Because rather than judging someone or comparing myself to them, the way it was translating in my life was that I was valuing myself more. I wasn't settling and just saying yes all over the place, because I could see my value and my worth. And that was shaping my decision in that cabeceo, that moment of discernment, and whether I was going to say yes or no. And I no longer felt bad when I said no, because the discernment had kicked in. There was wisdom and growth and self-love, and it was like, I see you, I acknowledge you, and no thank you. Now, the way we dance tango is not just for one song. We dance what's called a tanda. And a tanda is a series of tango songs played back to back, usually 3 or 4, which means when we say yes to dancing with someone, we are actually committing to those 3 to 4 songs. It's one of those tango rules. So now a yes to that invitation to dance a tanda in tango was teaching me about commitment. Because sometimes when I would go to dance with someone, I would feel like it wasn't a good connection and I wanted to exit. And sometimes that was really true, because you're not meant to dance with everyone. But actually, sometimes what happens is that that first song in the tanda is a getting to know you time. And the more I would continue to dance with this person, the connection would kick in. And so the commitment aspect got me to stick it out. The parallels in my life were just becoming clearer and clearer to me, so subtly yet powerfully. This world of tango had really gotten my full attention. Now after that yes, after we have both chosen each other, we find our way to each other in the room so that we're now standing eye to eye, face to face, and we're ready to embrace for a tanda, for a hug that lasts 10 to 12 minutes. Now let's talk about that hug for a minute, or that embrace, because that embrace is what is the outstanding feature in tango that sets it apart from other types of dance. So when was the last time that you hugged someone for 20 seconds or more? Most hugs last 10 seconds or less. And when I asked you that question, you probably thought of your family or your friends or your loved ones or your significant other. So let me ask it differently. When was the last time you hugged a stranger for 20 seconds or more? Because that's what we do in tango. Now one more thing before we get to the actual embrace, we're getting there, is let me tell you a little bit about the neuroendocrine and health benefits of hugging. There's a substantial body of knowledge around this that demonstrates that a hug of 20 seconds or more stimulates the production of the love drug in our bodies, oxytocin. It's the bonding hormone, and it's most well known as the chemical our bodies make in orgasm. And research shows that hugs lower your heart rate and stimulate the brain to release dopamine. Low dopamine levels are linked to a lack of enthusiasm, joylessness, which is depression. It also helps fight weight and prolongs life. It reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. And studies have also shown that tango improves brain and cognitive function and coordination, and it's being used to help people with Parkinson's. And in Argentina, tango is even being used to soothe those with mental illness, because they're finding that the complex 2/4 beat actually soothes the mind. Now, I didn't need anybody to tell me about any of this, because I was already feeling those good endorphins and chemicals in my body, on me emotionally and physically. But when I learned about the science behind it, it was just further confirmation that this other world was to be my new home. Now, another powerful element in tango, and part of what was seducing me to keep going to classes to learn more, is that it is a very well disguised mindfulness practice. And what I didn't realize as I was busy dancing was that I was losing time. I would realize that I hadn't had a thought for an entire hour. And as a long-time meditator, that was an amazing realization, because I have a lot of thoughts when I meditate. And in Argentine tango, when we go to a milonga, it's 100% improvised. There's no choreography. I'm one with my partner, we're one with the music. And the music, as it guides the leader, I follow. But we're both leading and following simultaneously as we become one. And it requires being as much in the moment as possible, connected to your partner in the music, thinking of nothing else. And the intimacy that I was finding there made me do whatever I had to do to get more of it, which was basically the equivalent of taking a lot more tango classes and going to more milongas. There's even research that demonstrates how our brain waves sync up when we're dancing tango. So even our biology is showing that the two become one. So now we're ready for that embrace. We're facing each other. We're waiting for the music to start, because it's the signal for us to embrace. And when we hear it, that moment we've been waiting for has arrived. There's an otherworldly quality to tango music. It's both emotional and spiritual. And I began to equate the music with the third partner in the dance, and it became that universal presence, but also it was the unknown in life, because we never knew what songs were coming. And with those first notes of the first song in the tanda, we moved towards each other. And here we are, face to face, heart to heart, hand in hand, and we literally have each other's backs. And we began to feel each other without words. Do I trust you? Do you trust me? We're in this together. We're committed for the next 10 to 12 minutes. I had one man tell me when I first began to dance tango, for the duration of this tanda, we're in love, and I need you to trust me. We're feeling each other, noticing each other's scent, preparing to surrender to each other, hopefully. And as my senses begin to inform me about this stranger that I just chose to commit to for this Tango, my mind would begin to think, am I going to be able to keep up with him? He's probably been dancing a lot longer than me. I saw him out there on the dance floor. He's a really good dancer. What if I miss something when he's leading? So here come those fears I was talking about. My mind would bring in self-doubts and feelings of inadequacy, and oh my God, how many times did I apologize if I missed a step? I still do that. Or if I couldn't feel the lead with this particular person. I was learning to just show up and not worry about the steps. And I was learning not to beat myself up when it wasn't perfect. But do you see how subtle this is? It's not even trying. Tango was seducing me with these moments of knowing intimacy. And in order to find more of them to remain there, I had to stay in the present moment. Tango was teaching me intimacy with myself. It was actually teaching me without words or effort to love myself. I was learning about me in the mirror of the human being in front of me, in the embrace of the person in front of me. Remember I said I thought maybe I'd get close to someone? I did, and it was me. Tango isn't about the steps. I thought it was when I began. I was learning about me and I didn't even know it. I just woke up one day and I realized I was a better version of myself. I realized my heart was open again, that I was available, that I was willing to share myself, that I was willing to be seen, that I was willing to be vulnerable. And each time I would close my eyes to dance, I was becoming more present to the beauty of who I am in here. I was learning to focus more on what was good inside me than in what I was doing wrong. And I was learning to find trust in myself in the dance and over here in life, even when I missed the steps, and to find the perfection in my imperfection. What I've learned most from Tango is to stop hiding and guarding my heart, and to share myself every chance I get. There are invitations all around us to connect and embrace each other, with both strangers and familiars. And when I share myself with others, whether it's in an elevator through a smile, or sustained eye contact with that other pissed-off driver next to me that turns into a smile, or a kind word to the people who provide services to me every day. When I'm willing to look at that person in front of me and let them see me, something magical happens for both of us. And we connect and embrace in that moment. Because my willingness to reveal myself unguarded, to invite you in, allows you to do the same. And whether someone returns that exchange or not, whether they accept your invitation or look away, you're still offering yourself. And that's the gift, because you'll simply be at home in yourself, intimate with you. And the key to intimacy with others is to have that intimacy with ourselves. Your beauty and your brilliance and your light is a gift to the world. I invite you to reveal who you are and to share it with everyone, every moment, everywhere. Invite them into your embrace. That's the journey, and that's the intimacy of Tango.